I really love when people share budget skincare options with me. A lot of what I use is pretty inexpensive. Today, I want to return the favor and share 10 of my favorite skincare picks under $10. These are all products that I personally use, and I actually like some of these budget picks just as much as some of the expensive versions that I've tried. If we haven't met, I'm Dr. Sarah Shu, and I'm a board certified dermatologist in the United States. My first pick is pimple patches. I use pimple patches for everything. That includes, obviously, pimples, but things like cuts, other non infected wounds, and post procedure too. Pimple patches are generally just small hydrocolloid dressings. Hydrocolloid dressings come in a bunch of different formats, including pimple patches, which are usually thin, small circles to much larger patches that you can cut to fit. They do a good job protecting the wound and they control the amount of moisture that the healing wound is exposed to. Not too much, not too little, just the right Goldilocks amount. I tried Pico Laser when I was visiting Taiwan last year, and I covered the post procedure spots that were treated with sunscreen plus pimple patches on top to keep them very well protected from the sun. I also had a shave biopsy on my leg last year, and I kept my biopsy site covered with a pimple patch as it was healing. Specifically, I like pimple patches that aren't medicated since I find them to be more versatile. I don't want to use actives like azelaic acid or salicylic acid on my cuts. These are going to be in some of the medicated pimple patches that are sold for acne, like Burt's Bees medicated acne patches. There are a ton of options, but in the US, I like the Neutrogena ones. Their pimple patches are super thin and they disappear into the skin really nicely. Because they are so thin, you do need to be a little bit careful when you're peeling them off the packaging, or else you'll end up folding the edges. It's not a deal breaker, but they're not as invisible when they're doubled up. FYI, pimple patches from Korean brands like Cosrx and Tium are an even better value. The Tium ones are consistently seen as a recommended deal on Stylovana, and I usually pick them up for under $2. I just throw these into pretty much all of my Stylovana orders since that's a pretty unbeatable price. If you are on a very tight budget and you want to stretch your money as far as it can go, you can just get a large hydrocolloid dressing sheet and cut them to fit. I prefer personally the pre-cut pimple patches because they are convenient and they tend to be thinner, so they're not as obvious when you have one on your face. Next, this has been one of my favorites for decades, Vaseline or generic white petroleum ointment, useful for slugging, lip care, wound care, removing makeup, people with sensitive skin, and people with dry skin. All that, and you can get a jar that will last you forever for just a couple of bucks. If I could only buy one non-sunscreen skincare product, I would buy white petroleum ointment. For lip care specifically, I like using Vaseline's body balm on my lips even more than the regular Vaseline ointment. It has a little bit more grip when it melts for my body temperature. Usually, the petroleum ointment can get a little bit slippery when it starts to get warm, and it doesn't stay in place as well as this stuff does. It's also really easy to travel with. I tend to get super dry on flights, so I just swipe this on anywhere that feels dry or tight on my face or body during travel. They typically run around $6 to $7 for a giant tube. Rounding out lip care, this is technically cheating because this is $10.20, but I like Facile's lip jelly. Facile is a brand that I think is kind of underrated and relatively unknown. It's a brand that was created by a fellow dermatologist, Dr. Nancy Semolidis, and they focus on simple products without adding a lot of extra stuff that can cause irritation. Their lip jelly is my favorite product. It has a glossy finish, it leaves my lips really soft, and a little bit goes a long way so the tube lasts forever. It makes my lips look a little bit more dressed up and glossy than boring old Vaseline or the body balm that I mentioned, especially if I put this on over a little bit of lip tint. Next is my favorite sunscreen that's still under $10, the Cynique Enjoy Super Mild Sun Essence. I made a standalone video on this sunscreen in case you're interested, but this sunscreen has no business being under $10. Not only does it provide excellent UV protection, it's also hydrating and it works as an all-in-one moisturizer slash sunscreen for people with dry or normal skin. FYI, this sunscreen is a better fit for people with dry or normal skin and less attractive for people with oilier skin. It also wouldn't be my first choice during very humid weather because you can get greasy looking pretty fast, but for drier areas, this is a really nice one. Before I get into the second half of my favorite beauty picks under $10, if you liked this video so far, I'd appreciate if you can like or subscribe. It makes a big difference to small channels like mine. Dove's Sensitive Skin Beauty Bar is next. Yes, it is basic. Yes, I have mentioned it before, but I am loyal to my favorites and I have used this for decades. It will last forever. It can help with mild acne because it contains lauric acid and it does a good job washing off sunscreen and makeup. You can get it for just a couple of bucks per bar, and I recently saw it during a Costco sale for just $1 a bar. Next are sheet masks. I always have a big stack of these ready to go for when my skin is dry. The ones that I usually get run about $2 a mask if they're pre-soaked in toner, but I also recently discovered these very cool and nifty sheet mask tablets that are about 10 cents each. These sheet mask tablets kind of remind me of those toys where you have a tiny tablet or capsule and you put it in water and it becomes a little dinosaur overnight. This is slightly less cool because no dinosaur, but it's still the same idea. You stick a tablet in a couple tablespoons of water, let it hydrate a little bit, and then you add your toner or essence or ampule of your choice and you give it a little swish. This is great for picky or sensitive skin people who don't want to experiment with random pre-soaked sheet masks. I bought mine on Stylevana from a brand that I've never heard of before, but I've also seen them at Daiso for the usual $1.50 for I think 15 to 20 tablets. Next is Pyunkang Yul's Essence Toner. I saw this on Stylevana for just $4.19 for 30 mLs. This brand is great for low cost, usually low irritancy, hydrating products, and I think that they are a great value. I think this basic line from PKY, including this essence toner, is a really good starter line for people who are new to skincare and they want to see what Korean skincare is all about, but they don't want to spend a ton of money to get started. I've seen their products on Amazon and they have an official company storefront on Amazon that I buy from to reduce the chances that I'll end up with a fake product. On Prime Day or other Amazon sales, you can find a bunch of their products, including their heavier moisturizers for under $10. But this essence toner is reliably under $10 without any promotions or sales. I kind of hate that the brands that make some of my favorite Korean skincare products, like this one, Pyunkang Yul, Beauty of Joseon, Numbajin, have difficult to spell or pronounce names for non-Korean people. It makes it really hard to recommend them to my patients in clinic. This one is kind of a weird one, but if you're interested in trying high-end or Korean skincare, you can get some great trial size offers for under $10. Usually, when I think about trial sizes or travel sizes, I think about my local Walgreens or the drugstore and seeing tiny little travel size toothpaste tubes or mouthwash bottles for $3 and thinking about what a huge waste of money that is. But I was really surprised to see that you can get trial sizes of higher end Korean skincare for less money per volume than getting the full size product. It's a great way to see if you feel like the fancier products are worth it for you. Number 10 is cotton pads. I tried some Mediheal pre-soaked toner pads, which were really popular last year, but I wasn't a fan personally. The specific formulation that I used really irritated my skin. I like to make my own toner pads with whatever serums or essences that I want, just by soaking cotton pads and applying those to dry areas of my skin. When I use any pre-made, pre-soaked sheet masks, I'll also squish a couple of these cotton pads into the mask packaging to soak up the rest of the serum, and then I'll apply those to my neck. These are sold by Anua, 60 pads for about $4 US. Anua is apparently a banned word on some of Reddit's skincare subs because I guess they were caught self-promoting in a way that wasn't really transparent. But a million other companies make these and for even less money, and I am not partial to any particular brand. There you have it, 10 of my favorite skincare purchases under $10. I'm always interested to hear your recommendations too. Do you have any favorite budget skincare purchases, ideally under $10 US? Also, I've been doing this YouTube thing for about a year in total, more seriously for about 6 months, and I've kept this as a side hobby or secret life without really bringing this up in clinic. Over the past month, some of my longtime clinic patients have mentioned to me that they saw my videos, and I usually want to crawl into a hole of embarrassment whenever they say that to me. A family that I care for that's really special to me because I have the privilege of taking care of their entire family. They told me that they put my videos on their big screen TV to watch together as a family, and I thought that was so heartwarming. So to my real life and virtual supporters, thank you. You mean a lot to me.